Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to do a DIY oil change on a C300 Mercedes-Benz. So if you want to know how to take this cartridge filter and install it in a C300, then stay tuned. Alright, let's talk about everything you're going to need to perform this service. First thing I want to talk about is safety. Make sure you have a good pair of safety glasses. You're going to be working with oil. You're going to be under the vehicle. A lot of opportunity there for things to drop into your eye. So get yourself a good pair of safety glasses. Also, the C300 is a low profile vehicle. So it's very difficult to work on it if you don't either jack the vehicle up or put it up on a set of ramps. And the ramps need to be a set of low profile ramps. You can't even use the regular ramps on the C300, it's just too low. In this particular case, we're going to use a set of ramps that I actually manufactured, and I'll show them to you along in the video. But remember, whichever form you use, whether it's jacking the vehicle up or running it up on the ramps, you need to use the proper safety measures. These vehicles are heavy and they can kill you if they fall on you. So just take that to heart. Okay, as far as the materials you're going to need, of course you're going to need a canister filter. I'll leave everything in the remarks column below on the video. I use one from Premium. I order these off of Amazon. I think they run $11 or $12. You have to have the canister filter, which is definitely different from the normal type filters that we use on most of the American made cars. And this filter is located on top of the engine and not underneath. So we'll get into that as we go along. With the filter you will get a seal. In my particular model, it's a 2013 model C300. It only has one seal, one O-ring that has to be changed. Several of the other models have up to 3 and even 4. So you need to watch what model you have and get the right O-rings and the right filter. So this will have to be changed, and I'll show you how to do that as well. You need to get a new brass O-ring for the plug, the oil drain plug. Yes, you can probably get by with flipping it over and using it. Again, I don't recommend it. 2 of these are like, $4 or $5. You can go to your local parts store, you can order them on Amazon, and get you a new brass ring to put on the oil plug. Don't keep using the old one. You're going to start getting leaks. Whatever type of oil you use, you need to get it. I prefer Mobil 1. That's what I've got. Now the 3.5 liter, it requires 7.5 quarts. It's a monster as far as what it requires. So you're going to need to get 8 quarts of whatever you're going to start with. So you're going to need that for the change. You're going to need number 25 Thorax to get the covers off that are underneath the Mercedes. So you might as well find that. You're going to need either a box-in wrench or a socket with the appropriate size for the drain plug. You're going to need a catch pan that can hold the 7.5 quarts. So if you go underneath there with a small catch pan, you're going to have a mess. You may or may not need a oil filter removal tool for the top canister. It depends on how tight it is on top. You should be able to remove it by hand, but if you can't, then you're going to have something like this to do that. You're going to need a funnel, and you're going to need plenty of rags. So no matter how good you are, you're going to eventually have a spill somewhere, whether it's underneath or on top of the engine. You're going to need to be able to clean it up. Also, I wear a pair of rubber gloves. I don't have them shown, but I usually go to Harbor Freight and I buy the cheap neoprene gloves, and I wear a pair of those. So you'll see in the video that I'll have those on. So that's everything you need. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video and get the car ready, and then I'll come back and show you that I have it set on a wrap system, and then we'll start the oil change. So I'll be right back. Okay, we're ready to start taking the covers off. Again, this is a number 8 and not a Thorax 25 like I thought. Once I got underneath, I found out that it was, and so I went ahead and got a number 8 socket. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like to be 6, and I think there's some on the side. So we'll go ahead and get this, get started taking these off. Okay, so there was a total of 2, 4, 6, there was a total of 7 bolts that had to be taken out. This back cover covers the transmission, and it doesn't look to me like it's in any way going to hinder us from getting to the plug, so I think we're okay leaving that back one on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll go ahead and reposition everything and get the drain pan and everything in place, and then we will go from there. I've got everything positioned, ready to pull the drain plug out. And this is a 13 millimeter. And what I usually do is I use a rubber hammer to get it loosened up. It's a lot easier than try to push and pulling on it. And it works a heck of a lot better. So make sure you've got your drain pan in position, because it's going to come out of there. Remember, this is 7.5 quarts, so it's going to come out of there pretty strong. Always have a rag ready as well, which I forgot. Let that drain out completely. And some people actually just go away and come back later. I don't generally do that, but I do let it drain for a long time until I'm assured that all the old oil is out. And it just looks normal. It's got a normal color to it. I pretty much keep everything maintained pretty well. So we'll go ahead and let this run. Drain this out, and I will get the new brass ring ready to go as well. So I'll do that real quick while this is draining. Alright, I've went ahead and let that's usually as far as I let it go. When it's dribbling down that much, for me, that's good enough. If you want to wait, that's strictly up to you. You can go ahead and wait until it stops dribbling. It'll take quite a while though for 7.5 quarts. So what I did, I went ahead and got the new brass O-ring, installed it on the plug. Go ahead and get this back in. There are torque specifications for the drain plug. I generally just you do it hand tight and use my rubber mallet, but it's up to you. You want to grab a torque wrench, that's strictly up to you. You can over torque these for sure, so be careful. Okay, got that completed. I'm going to go ahead and move everything out of the way, go ahead and put the cover back on, and then I will reset for the top, and we'll go from there. Alright, we're set back up on the top side of the engine. Engine compartment's open. I have not touched anything yet. Note that I have not taken the car off of the ramps. I don't move the vehicle till I get oil back in it. Once I get minimum of 6.5 quarts back in, then I will start the engine, let it run and circulate in the filter, and then I'll pull it off and then I'll tap it off. But right now, this is what the engine looks like as you just open up the hood. So I go ahead and I take the cap off, Set it over here to the side. Then your cover right here, this is a snap-in cover. You just grab it underneath all the way around, and there's one in the very back, then it just comes straight off. Remove that cover. Put it over here on the side. Now that gives you access to the filter. Standard filter cover, and what I generally try to do is see if I can get it off with a rag first, and it's on there pretty tight. So it was too tight to take off with my hand with a cloth, so I went ahead and grabbed the cap style wrench. Fits right over the top of it. It works a little better if you have a socket, but if you don't, it's okay. Put a socket on it, and then you just want to get this turning, just loosening it up. Now before I go any further, what I do is I take a rag and I pack a rag around the bottom of that filter housing, because when you pull that housing up, more than likely you're going to have a problem. Even if you don't, it's better just to go ahead and do it. So I go ahead and pack that in and around this filter. Just in case. We'll go ahead and loosen it on up. And you'll feel it when it gets to that point, when it really starts loosening up, you'll feel it. Go ahead and work with your hand after that. So once you got that finger tight, what I do is I just work that all the way loose with my hand, nice and slow. Try to make as minimal mess as I can. And then once I get it loose, I just come straight up and I take that cover off. If you do it nice and easy, more than likely you won't make a mess. I'm not saying you won't make some mess, but you won't make as big a mess. So go ahead and take that, set it over here on the bench. Now we're going to go ahead and pull the filter out. So you've already got this down here around this one. I wipe the top of the filter off so that I can get a hold of it. And this filter just pops straight up, just like that. You can just take your rag, put it underneath it. There's your old filter. Inside it's got a little canister. You know, this is the little canister that I showed you in the new filter. So we're going to replace this, and we're also going to replace a seal on that outside cover. So that's what that looks like. I'm going to go ahead and reposition everything over the bench, and I'll show you how to change that seal out on the cover, and then we'll come back and we'll go ahead and put the new one in. All right, I've got everything ready. I've got the outside filter cover. This is the outside filter cover that we took off earlier. I have it here. I have the new O-ring. One thing you need to note, there are some models on the W204. That's this model. Mine's a 213, but it goes from 2008 to 2014. Some models have several O-rings, and it just depends on your model and your engine, so be careful. Usually when you order the premium pack, whichever one you order, usually it'll come with all of these O-rings that you need, but you need to make sure. Okay, so in my particular model, which is the 3.5, it's the luxury 4-track, I only have one, but again, I've seen up to 4. So I've got the new one right here. If you look right here, you'll see the old one. I just use a tool, something like this with a pointed end on it. Just grab a hold of it like that. Get it started off. There's your old one. Now what I like to do on the new one is I like to just take and rub a little of the old oil around it. so that it's just not completely dry. Go ahead and start it again. Just there's not anything complicated with it. Just go ahead and roll it across the threads. Roll it right into that groove. Just like that. Make sure you've got it in there smooth all the way around. Okay. So that's prepared. That's the only one I have. Make sure you've got one, or if you've got two or three, make sure you do them all. Then I've got the new canister. It's got a new O-ring already mounted on it. Some of them probably have a fixed mounting, and that's why you got the extra O-rings. Mine, I replace it every time I change the filter. So there's my new filter, and there's my canister cover. It's all ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and switch everything back over to the other side, and I'll show you how to install the canister filter and put it back together again. Okay, I've got the camera positioned back around so that you can actually see the actual cavity where the filter goes in. And I always just visually check it to make sure there's nothing in there. There's not. You can go ahead and nice and easily pull this out and don't get any dirt inside that housing. Okay, that's very important. So then I'll generally just take a rag, just wipe the top. I don't usually go inside and try to do a bunch of cleaning in there. I just want to wipe that outside rim off. That's all I want to do. Okay, so I've got the new canister filter, and you can see that that O-ring is going to fit right down in there. So what I generally do is I'll take a little of the old oil, I'll just spin it around on that O-ring, make sure that it's moist. Just push it right down in there, and you'll feel it snap in. I don't know if you could hear that or not, but it makes a very distinctive snap. Okay, the filter is locked back in. There's your cover. There's your new O-ring. I've just got a little bit of used oil on it, not much. Just take it right over the top. You're putting it on by hand. I wouldn't even worry about the wrench at this point. I hand tighten it up. Take your filter wrench, put it back on, and all I'm doing is just snugging this. I mean, less than a quarter turn. And that's on, ready to go. Now we're going to go ahead and set up for the oil. Remember, 7.5 quarts. Check your owner's manual for yours and make sure it's the same. For my particular 3.5, mine's 7.5 quarts. So I'm going to go ahead and set up for that. And I'm going to put 6.5 quarts in. Then I'm going to start it. I'm going to let it cycle the oil through the new filter. Then I'm going to pull it off the ramp and then top it off. So we'll be right back in a few minutes. Okay, we're all repositioned and ready to put the oil in. So I've got my funnel. I highly recommend you use one. A lot of people will just pour it straight in out of the plastic containers. I do not recommend that. It gets pretty pretty nasty pretty quick. So have your rag ready, have a funnel ready, and I use the 5 quart first, and then I come back and fill in with a 1.5 quart on the singles. But you can buy, 8 quarts of the singles, anything you want to. Now this funnel will not fit down in here tightly. There's something that blocks it inside the engine. But if you hold it right in there, there's a little gap there and you can put it in. So I'll go ahead and put the first 5 quarts in. Don't pour it in too quickly or else you'll overflow it. And again, check your owner's manual. These Mercedes, these W204s are basically, they're very, very similar, but I have found differences. I found differences in mine on the air filter, and I found differences on the oil filter. My air filter setup is a single flow air filter that goes in on the passenger side. Some of the others, the W204s, actually have 2 filters, one on each side. Mine doesn't have that. So check your owner's manual, make sure you're doing the right thing for your vehicle. I like to let that drain out a little bit before I go to the next one. So this is number 6. I'm using the Mobil 1 European car formula. It's OW40. That's what I use. That's what's recommended for mine, and I believe it's recommended for all the 3.5s. Okay, that's 6. And about a half. We'll let that drain off just a second. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull this, put the plug back in, start this on the ramp, and let it circulate for just a little bit. Then I'm going to actually go ahead and pull it down off the ramp, make sure it's on a level surface. Then I'm going to go ahead and top it off. So we'll be back in just a few minutes. Okay, we're back down on the ground, and I let my vehicle run between 5 and 7 minutes. Let that circulate well, get it through the new filter and the filter housing. I leveled it off, got it off of the ramps. So now I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick check on it. I don't expect it to be very close, right on the tip, and that looks like we're on the tip. Barely visible on the tip. I usually just leave my stick out, but you don't have to. We'll go ahead and add the last half that I had, and then we'll get to the next one. And this puts us at 7 quarts. And again, it never hurts to continue to check, and I generally do continue to check. So I sometimes don't even trust myself. So the worst thing you can do on one of these high performance engines is to overfill it or run it underfilled, either way, but overfilling can actually be worse than underfilling on these because it puts pressure on all the seals. Next thing you know, you'll have oil leaks all over this engine. So let's pull this out. And now you'll see that I'm right at a half a quart short. So we need to go ahead and add that last half a quart. On the Mobil 1 bottles, I think pretty much all the bottles, if you look on the side, you'll see you have a clear indicator strip here that shows you what you've got left in that bottle. So that's what I use to get close to where I need to be. And that should be pretty close right there. Let that drain down just a second. Check it one more time and then we should be good. Also, after you drive your vehicle for a little bit, the next day, I generally will check the oil the next day. I want to make sure nothing goes wrong. You know, you already checked it underneath, you know you don't have any leaks underneath there, but you never know. There could have been something that maybe you didn't quite get quite right. So just make sure you take the time to do that. So let's go ahead and see what we got. See you right there, exactly where you should be. So it's 7.5 quarts. That's the perfect fill for this particular 3.5. It's all finished. All I need to do now is go ahead and put the cap back on and put the cover back on. What I generally will do as well is I'm a pretty strong maintenance guy, so what I'll end up doing as well is I will go around and I'll wipe this engine completely down. I personally like to armor all of them, so I'll actually armor all this engine when I'm done with it. So this, again, you know, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points on this. If you just line it up straight over the cap for the oil, follow right along the ridge lines, you should not have any problem snapping this back in. That completes the DIY oil change on the Mercedes-Benz 3.5. This is a C300. My model is a 2013 model. If you liked what you saw, please give us a thumbs up. And if you want to hang around, I have one more bonus, which is how to reset the computer. So if you give us a thumbs up, we'd appreciate it. Even better if you'd subscribe to the channel, and I'll go ahead and reset up for the inside and show you how to reset the computer. All right, I'm going to do my very best to show you how to reset the service computer. So you get into your vehicle and you take your keys, put your key in, and what you should see is that display right there, which is in mine it's a 2013. It shows the car and shows the mileage. What you're looking for is that mileage. You need to have that showing up on the top. Okay? Then what you do is you turn the key one notch. Once you go just a single notch, no further, you should still have the miles displayed. Then what you do is, the key to this is right here, which is your call signal for your telephone. It's the one on the very right. And then the OK button. And the secret to this is touching this button, the call button, just a second before the OK button. If you do that, then you're going to get into the assistance screen and you'll be able to reset your service. And sometimes it takes a few tries. So you just quick and then hold it down. Okay, see the vehicle data, Desmom test and assist plus. Go down to the assist plus, hit OK. Go down to full service, hit OK, and there are your service guides. Mine shows service 2, service 3, service 20. Go down to config full service, hit OK. Service carried out, say yes. Cannot be undone, go down and confirm it. Full service carried out. You're completed and you have done your oil change. Now you've reset your service computer and you're ready to go until your next service comes up. Thanks a lot. If you liked the video, please give us a thumbs up. Better yet, subscribe for us. That would be great. Thanks a lot and have a great day.